Hey everyone, welcome to Neil Talks. My name's Neil and it's time to talk The Sandman. And this is a fun bonus surprise Sandman. I woke up this morning, made my coffee, and apparently there's a bonus episode of Sandman for me to check out. And this is something I was kind of wondering when we wrapped up the season after episode 10, because the nature of the Sandman comic was such that there were a bunch of major arcs in the Sandman run, about eight issues each, that make for really good season-long content. But there's also a bunch of more standalone issues that are more in a short story vein and may not directly apply to the main plot, at least not for issues and issues and issues, or maybe they just give some background that fleshes out a character that we've already met, or maybe they're like true standalone stories. And I wasn't sure how a TV series would tackle those, because they may interrupt the traditional flow that we're expected to in television narrative now. We don't like when we go do a Mandalorian episode in the middle of the Book of Boba Fett. A lot of people felt that even an episode like 24/7 that we spent entirely in the diner and Dream only appeared in at the very end disrupted the flow of season 1. I disagree, but I get that perspective, absolutely. So I wasn't sure how they were going to tackle all these short stories, because they may not be essential to the overall flow of the season. They certainly add to the richness of the story and the narrative, and they just give you a different perspective on the characters that really makes them that much more interesting. And the next 4 issues after the Dollhouse comic were 4 standalone stories. And how are you going to tackle those? How are you going to integrate those? And it would be a real shame if you skipped those, because they include some of the most memorable issues of the Sandman, including one that we're not going to visit today, that is one of the most memorable Sandman issues, period. And maybe that's what they kick next season off with. But nevertheless, the 2 issues of the comic that came directly after Doll's House was concluded were Dream of 1,000 Cats and Calliope. And this morning, those two issues have been turned into one episode. And I don't know how we're going to do this, because, one of them, Dream's going to be a cat. But I'm psyched. This is above and beyond what I expected. This is a lovely bonus. It's such a treat. I thought we were going to have to wait a year before there was more Sandman, and they just sort of kept this one under their hat. And after a really successful launch of the series, we get this bonus 11th episode. So let's check it out, guys. This one's called Dream of 1,000 Cats / Calliope. Oh, it gets a subtitle. Cool.
Come on, darling.
We're animated.
Oh. I'll be right there, love.
What?
Just putting the kitten in her basket.
Oh my gosh. I love that they're just saying, you know what, screw it, let's animate an episode. This makes total sense.
It's tonight. Are you coming?
Oh, this is adorable already. Oh, they didn't skimp on the animation. This is lovely. I mean, it's a low frame rate, but it's got that lovely painterly feel. There we go.
Good jump. You just have to work on the landing. Come on.
Curiosity, perhaps?
Oh, this is so faithful to the comic. I love it. Oh, all the happy feels here.
I was not always as you see me today. I lived in their world. Oh, they fed me and gave me comfort. They served me. He was my choice of lover. I would teach them how to wash, how to stalk silently, how to hunt.
She's a purebred registered Blue Point. These are half-breeds. They're not worth anything.
I felt them as the cold water took them. Felt them thrash and claw sightlessly. Felt them call to me in their fear.
I don't know how this show
And then
hits you in the
they were
feels
gone.
so hard, so quick.
She's probably relieved. Who'd want 4 screaming brats around?
I just feel guilty.
I knew
should.
then that I had lied to myself. I prayed to the darkness, to the night. I prayed to the king of cats. I dreamed.
Oh, chills, man.
Why have you come here, little cat? To the heart of the dreaming.
Neil Gaiman's voice.
Revelation. That is the province of dream. A little cat could come to much harm if she strays from the path.
Cats walk their own paths.
So cool they gave Neil Gaiman a role in this. Well, he gave himself a role in this.
I found myself at the mountain.
Recognize those gatekeepers?
I am a cat. I keep my own counsel.
Enter then, proud cat. But be warned, dreams have a price.
And who are you?
A cat. A walker in the night places. Why could they take my children from me? Why do we live as we do?
Look into my eyes.
Oh,
I saw the truth. Our truth.
what a great effect.
Many, many seasons ago. Cats truly ruled this world. When the moon shone full, we would hunt them. For they were more delightful to catch than even birds. The game of cat and man.
Dreams create the world anew every night. Dream of a new world. A world where we are no longer hunted, no longer prey. If enough of us dream it, it will happen.
One night, enough of them dreamed. It wasn't many, 1,000 perhaps, no more. Things changed. We were prey to them.
They dreamed the world, so it was always the way it is now. There was never a world where cats reigned. They changed it.
Oh, they're doing this so much justice.
I left that night to spread the good news. If enough of us dream, a bare 1,000, we can dream a world where no cat suffers.
I believe.
Then there is hope, child.
Like she said.
I'd like to see anyone, prophet, god, or king, persuade 1,000 cats to do anything at the same time.
Oh, look, she's still asleep.
Oh, the cereal is Kincaid's. That's Unity's family company.
The way she's twitching, she's probably hunting something. Isn't that cute?
It is.
Oh, lovely. Oh, so good.
You can't force a character to do something just because it's easier for you as a writer.
Do you have any advice for those of us who are just starting out and finding it difficult to not hate every single thing I write?
I am sad to report that I've been doing this for a very long time and it doesn't get any easier. Did you get it?
Took some doing.
It's
Disgusting.
it's perfect. Thank you.
I still write when I have time.
Your parents are
but-
very wise. You're better off. I promise.
He doesn't like being a writer.
Any idea when the new book is coming out?
That would be telling.
Ah, the tortured writer.
I've got it.
Well then, come in, dear boy. Come in. You written anything profound and stirring recently?
I haven't written a single word in a year.
Then I suggest you sit down, have a drink, and show me my present. Not necessarily in that order. I've discovered a trove of ancient texts about the muses and how to control them. The hardest part was getting her back to England.
What have you done, Erasmus Fry?
What would you with me now, Erasmus?
Richard, this is Calliope, the youngest of the 9 sisters. She was Homer's muse, so she ought to be good enough for you. Calliope, I'm giving you to Richard.
But you said that you would free me before you died.
Writers are liars, my dear. She's bound to you now, just as she was once bound to me. They say one ought to woo her kind. But I must say I found force most efficacious.
This is a dark episode. A dark issue.
Now, take the little cow away, Richard. I never want to see either of you again.
You must set me free.
I will, I promise. But
not yet. I really need my second novel.
You could help me?
Writers are liars.
Not all of us.
I choose with whom I share my gifts.
Perhaps we both need time to think.
Oh, it's like the darkest story about writer's block ever. Don't go onto Reddit, man. That's just gonna kill you. Get off the social medias. You need to woo her.
Is this not how it's done?
I think you know how it is done. An artist does not hold a muse against her will.
I got the advance for this book 2 years ago. I haven't even started it yet. I don't even know what it's about. I am begging you.
Ask me again when I am free.
Mm-hmm. You know what he's weighing in his mind.
It's 9 months overdue. You're technically in breach.
Well, they're going to cancel the deal and demand the advance back.
But
and there won't be
anything I can do, because you'll no longer be my client.
Desperate men.
I understand. Calliope?
Well, I'm glad they didn't show it. It was a little more in your face. And he's scratched up even. Yeah, in the comic it was definitely more in your face.
Mother of the Kamen, hear my prayer.
We feel your pain, daughter, but we cannot help you.
So the muses are the daughters of the fates.
You are lawfully bound. Only the endless never fade.
And even they have been having a difficult time of late. Still, every little bit helps, as the old woman said when she pissed in the sea. The endless. She did bear his cup. That boy child who went to Hades for his lady love, torn apart for his sacrilege.
Orpheus. Dream King will never help me.
Like you, your former husband has been ensnared by mortals.
There's nothing we can do for you.
Please. Nothing you can do but hope.
But we know hope is the most powerful thing in the world.
I think it probably speaks to the author's pretension.
Where were we?
There aren't enough strong female characters in fiction.
I do tend to regard myself as a feminist writer.
Where does that voice come from in you? The female voice?
From the women in my life.
He's free. She can't just leave, though. I thought she's bound to him.
I call to you, Oniros, that you may hear me.
Is it snowing?
Come to my aid when I say your name out loud.
What does it mean?
It is the name of the god of dreams.
You're mine.
You came.
You called.
I know that you cannot free me. Perhaps you might inspire him to let me go.
I will do all that and more.
Dream.
He must be punished.
Why? Because I was once yours.
Because he hurt you.
What will you do to him?
What the who the fuck are you?
Be quiet. You are keeping a woman here against her will.
Do you know who I am?
I know precisely who and what you are, Richard Maddock.
You don't understand. I need her. If I didn't have her, I wouldn't be able to write. I wouldn't have ideas.
If it's ideas you want, then you shall have them. In abundance.
You have met Morpheus. He was once my husband. And the father of my son.
I didn't know you had a son.
You know nothing about me.
For me, ideas don't come from anywhere. I could write an entire novel set at a book reading. Or a story about the fraternity of critics. To destroy an author, they sacrifice a child. Or a city where the streets are paved with time. A train full of silent women, driven by a blind man. Heads made of light. A were-goldfish. 2 old women taking a weasel on holiday.
So many ideas. Hope someone's writing these down.
An old man who owned the universe and kept it in a jam jar. A man who falls in love with a paper doll.
Mr. Maddock, it's Nora.
I didn't have a pen or any paper, so I just used my hands. I said I needed the ideas, but there is a woman in a room upstairs. Tell her that she can go, that I free her.
Okay.
He said it already. She's gone. Comes a Candle by Erasmus Fry.
What will you do now?
Try to make sure that this never happens to anyone else ever again.
I shall do the same in my realm.
You have changed, Oniros. In the old days, you would have left me here to rot without turning a hair.
I have learnt much in recent times.
I think you should release the mortal now. I would not forgive what he has done, but I must forgive the man. Not for him. For me.
If that is what you wish.
She's gone. And it's all gone with her. Stories. They were all hers.
Whose? Who are you talking about?
I have no idea. No idea.
May I visit you in the dream realm sometime? Grieve him properly?
One day. Perhaps, but...
I understand. Thank you, Oniros. I will not forget this.
Goodbye, Calliope.
Look at the names here. Look at the names of the voices, for frick's sakes. Sandra Oh, Rosie Day, David Kiasi, Joe Lysette, Neil, James McAvoy, David Tennant, Michael Sheen. I really do love the end credits on Sandman 2, just because they're very evocative of Dave McKean's art. For those of you that don't know the comics, Dave McKean was the only artist attached to Sandman throughout the entire run. Oh, that's not true. Todd Klein did all the lettering, but Dave McKean did all the covers. And these were the least traditional comic book covers, period. Dave McKean's an incredibly versatile artist, and like for instance, the first issue of Sandman, he built 2 cabinets, did a painting, a full-size painting, filled the cabinets with all sorts of curios and whatnot, and took a photo of that, bookending the painting in the middle, and that was the cover. And every cover after that was equally interesting and different and evocative and conceptual. Really, really cool stuff. And these end credits, while they're not derivative, they have some of that same feeling. I know they're much more symmetric and kaleidoscopic, but I feel like some of the imagery that they're kaleidoscoping is directly from the covers of Dave McKean, if that makes sense. Anyway, what a fun episode, and I know I didn't talk much because I was just sort of soaking it all in. These two stories were very faithful to the comics, and I'm so glad that they did them, because my fear was, because they don't fit directly into a broader narrative, they might have been dropped from season 2, for instance. We have skipped an issue or 2 in season 1. For instance, there's an issue that came out before the Doll's House story itself kicked off, called Tales in the Sand, and it's basically the backstory of Dream and Nada. And I don't know whether they've decided they're going to put that story somewhere else in the narrative, because the Sandman, it's an anthology in the sense that we're going to get stories from ancient times, we're going to get stories from Shakespeare's era, from Roman times, from Nada's era, 10,000 years ago. There's some flexibility in how you tell that story, and where you place the various stories within it. So yeah, we may come back to those stories, or maybe for whatever creative reasons they felt that they didn't need them, at least not yet. But I'm so glad that we did these, because these are 2 very different stories. They don't advance the plot, but they tell us so much more about the power of dreams and the power of story. They're both very much about story itself. I love that we did Dream of 1,000 Cats animated. It makes total sense, as opposed to trying to CG animate the whole thing. I mean, herding cats is a metaphor for a reason. You're not going to do that just straight live action. But I love that it's a story told entirely in the perspective of cats. We barely see a human face. The only human face we see is the wife when the husband drives off. But what I love is it reinforces the idea that Dream is an idea. We already saw when Dream went to hell in episode 4 that his appearance changes according to who is interacting with him. When Nada sees him, she sees him as her tribe's god of dreams, and therefore he appears as a black man. In the comics, when Martian Manhunter meets him, of all things, he appears as a Martian god. And in Dream of 1,000 Cats, he appears as a cat. And not just does he appear as a cat, but the dreaming it's no longer a castle, it's a cave. The guardians are the same. We know we're in the dreaming, but it feels different because it's being dreamt by a cat as opposed to a human. And I love the idea that if enough people dream the same thing at the same time, then that thing comes into existence. And not only has it changed the world has always been that new thing. You know, it's a fun idea. And it's a fun idea that mankind used to be playthings for cats, and they were the predators and we were the prey. But enough of us dreamed a new world into existence, and now we have that nagging thought that if enough cats dream the undoing of that, then we might revert. So if we wake up tomorrow and we're 6 inches tall and giant cats are chasing us around, we'll have no idea that we used to run the world. But it might be good for the environment, so who knows? Yeah, it's a lovely story. Really nice to get a different style. It's cool that animation is part of the repertoire for the series now. Maybe we'll see animation again for future stories when it's appropriate. I love that idea. And Calliope. Calliope's a dark story. Calliope is it's another story of imprisonment, but it's not just locking Dream up in a glass cage for 100 years. It's imprisoning a woman. It's abusing and defiling and raping her. Like let's call it what it is, to benefit from it. You know, the Erasmus Fry captured a muse, and he had a great career, but his career was over and done with. His books went out of print, and he basically traded her to Richard Maddock for what amounts to a clump of hair from somebody's stomach. It's dark, but it also is a great episode to show how much growth Dream has had just in the first season of the show. Like Calliope says, you never would have done this. You would have left me to rot. You've changed. And we're getting a lot of that. The people that have known Dream the longest are seeing the changes the most. Whether it's Lucienne and Gilbert in the dreaming, whether it's Calliope here, whether it's Death and the other Endless when they interact with him. So, whether it's Hob Gadling, man. Dream is changing for the better, but at what cost? But it also alludes to this other story that he was married to Calliope. You know, we're learning more and more about Dream's past lovers. Nada, Calliope. Not only has he had lovers, you know, Calliope was his wife. They had a son, Orpheus. I love that we're hinting at that story. And we will get there eventually. I don't know whether that's a next season thing or we have to wait a little bit longer. They're tackling the narrative with enough variance from the original storyline that you can't be sure of what comes next. You have a good idea, but I wouldn't be blown away if they did something else first. Like, there's a couple of different ways they can start season 2 in my mind, and whatever they decide to do, I'm sure is the right move. But yeah, you know, who knows? Maybe there's another bonus episode waiting for us next week. Like, it could be anything here. This is such a wonderful treat because I certainly wasn't expecting this episode. I wouldn't have been surprised if they had skipped these issues. But the fact that we got them and we got them when we did is just put a smile on my face all day. Anyway, thank you guys so much for spending a little time with me here today on Neil Talks. This has been an absolute blast. There will be a season 2 of Sandman, I'm sure of it, and you better believe I'll be reacting to it when it comes out. So let's cross our fingers that comes soon. And in the meantime, consider checking out some of my other reactions, some of my other shows. I'm really proud of all the stuff I'm doing here on the channel. Like and subscribe if you're so inclined. And until next time, everybody, take care, stay healthy, and we'll see you soon. Cheers.